have left London and we are heading towards Portsmouth, specifically Hayling Island, where John's dad is from. So for the first time, John is going to go see where his dad is from, and I think he's pretty excited about that. And I think, is this where we're going to go see where your grandparents are buried?
I'll probably do that either tomorrow or the day after.
Yeah, but is it in the same area?
No, it's kind of on the other side of Southampton.
I don't really know where we're going, but yeah, we're going to go do that at some point as well. So we've been cruising along listening to our all British rock and roll playlists from 60s and 70s, and it's sunny and it's warm, and so it should be a good day. So we're at St. Nicholas's Church. We're looking for the graves of John's grandparents. We're not sure if they're at this church or another one, but we're going to have a look at this one first. So as I said, this was the first church that we looked at. This was in Brockenhurst. It became clear pretty soon that we were not going to find the graves at this particular cemetery. John had a vague recollection of seeing photos of where the grave was in proximity to a wall or to the edge of a cemetery, and this one just wasn't it. It didn't feel right to him, and he thought, no, they're not going to be here. This was going to be maybe like a quick trip in the morning to visit his grandparents' grave, but we really struggled to find anything online that would tell us where people are actually buried in England. So we parked the car and we rethought our plans. We'd by now looked at maybe 3 different cemeteries. And you can imagine that the more we searched in vain for John's grandparents, the more John wanted to find them. And it was actually taking its toll on him. And I don't think he'll mind me saying he actually started getting a little bit anxious and a little bit distressed. I don't think he realised how important this was to him until we couldn't find them. We couldn't contact anyone back in Australia because it was the middle of the night for them. And so we weren't quite sure what we were going to do. Finally, I thought maybe I could contact Jackie Neall, who is the wife of Hugh Neall. They live in Canada, and maybe their time zone's a little bit closer to ours. So on the off chance that they were up and awake, I messaged Jackie, and lo and behold, Jackie pointed us in the right direction, gave us excellent directions, told us what to look out for, what the grave looks like, and we were finally on our way to what it turned out to be Baillieu Cemetery. So it wasn't actually far away from our initial church that we looked at. Thank you, Jackie, for your directions, and we think we're going to find them both up here, Gladys and Harold. Frank.
I hope so.
Neall. John's been getting a little bit disheartened.
Done a lot of churchyards today, and none of the ones Dad has recommended are even close. Come on.
Alright. Well done, Sean.
Yeah. In loving memory of a dear husband and father, Major Harold Frank Neall, passed away 6 July 1982, aged 83. His duty nobly done, and his beloved wife, Gladys reunited 3rd August 1989.
Okay, so that's your great grandparents, guys.
And I found it.
Yeah. Well done, Shawnee. We walked straight past it. And Grace put some flowers down.
I found it.
Oh, we know you found it.
I do remember her saying after I must have jibber jabbered, because I reckon I jibber jabbered like this one. Lots of bullshit coming out of my mouth. And I remember her commenting to my dad, "Oh, you do let him get away with a lot. Your father wouldn't have let you get away with this."
So yeah, Johnny, he'd be in trouble, mate.
Okay.
It's a really beautiful cemetery here. A little chapel over there. And there's some horses on the other side. So all in all, this was actually ended up being a highlight of our trip in England. I don't think John was prepared for how this would impact him emotionally. It was really, really special moment for him to find his grandparents' graves, and the kids were really good and they were quite excited to travel overseas and find their relatives, their great grandparents.
Ooh.